What I want to walk you guys through tonight is this particular implementation of remote station operation. This piqued my interest. There was an article in QST magazine, and a gentleman who had to move out of his house, couldn't have all his radio equipment anymore, came onto this, and so he sold his equipment and decided to use this to operate where he was. And so that's what got me interested in it. So we're going to just look at the front end of this is like the main screen. I'm not signed into anything yet, but there's some good stuff to show you guys here so you can kind of see what some of the features are. And there's some STEM applications here, and I want you to see that as well. So this particular company has about 20 stations and antenna setups all over the US and a couple foreign ones that you can operate. And we're going to take a look at some of those, and we're going to look at some of the STEM accessible ones that would be for younger hams to use. So 20 stations they have. It's everything from 100 watts to 1500 full power. The way they price this is it's generally speaking $100 a year, and then you pay for airtime. And the amount you pay for airtime depends on the station you're using, the power, all that kind of stuff. But we'll take a look at that when we sign in. What I wanted you to take a look at a little bit are some of the stations that they have. This is the console, and we'll see this in a little bit, but it's how you operate it. You can also put a flex radio, Maestro, I guess it's called, and I think the Electcraft K2 and K3 can be a front end of this if you want something that's a little more radio-y than this. And they have tutorials for everything, and we'll talk about some of the different features. Stations, I just want to show you some of the stations. Come on. There we go. So some of these are some rather impressive setups here. And Peter, you can see that he must have used drones to film some of this. So what this is showing here is one of their stations, and it's telling you what bands does it operate on, what kind of antennas they have, hardware, you know, what kind of power can you run. And this is just one of, and then where is it? In this particular one, because this is 1500 watts, 200 feet up in the air, whatever, $100, 25 a minute. So whatever you're doing, it should be worth it. I was going to use this for Bouvet if they would have lasted more than a week and didn't have all the weather trouble they did, just to get on there. So anyway, these are some different antennas. Here's another one. Take a look at that. That's some impressive hardware they got here. Let me find another one for you. Summit. Here, Phoenix, look at all that stuff. That's more than I got in my yard. And they have different prices, whether you're using 100 watts or 1500. Some of the stations you can just listen, but because it's good capitalism, if someone comes on and wants to use it to transmit, they're going to kick you off. But these are just examples of some of the hardware that they have. And, you know, it's fairly impressive. There's about 20 stations. There are also 3 or 4 that are outside the US that you can use legally. I don't know if it shows them on here. We'll look at it when we get inside a little bit. That's a nice one like that. Tacoma, there we go. Oh, this one is Haiti. I don't know which one of these is the antenna. It's kind of hard to tell. And then Palmas. I think this is an island off the coast of Africa or something like that. And then there's a couple that are Croatia, and we'll take a look at those in a minute. But these are the ones that you could pay, you'd sign up and use them. And like I said, I'm just in the front end of the screen. I'm not signed into anything. You guys could go look at this anytime you want to see what it's all about. You know, and you don't have to sign up or pay anything. So those are the stations for pay. And then I think I want to show you the ones that are for STEM, which I thought was really interesting that they had this option as well. I just don't think if it's on this screen here. I got a backup one. Hold on. There we go. Youth Network, here we go. So the other thing I thought was interesting about this is they have some stations set up where other hams have donated the radio or antenna in this remote ham radio system as donated the hookups to it. So if the hams are under 25 years old or their parents say, okay, they can operate this and their cost is zero. So I wanted to show you a couple of those things. I think it's kind of a neat option. If someone gets a license, but they don't have radio or anything like that, and they're younger, they can use this. There's a couple that I thought were, this one's pretty nice here. So it'll tell you who donated it, what kind of radio is it running, what power. There's one here. That's a pretty nice one too, right there. Yeah, yeah, you are right there. Yep. That's a pretty nice little antenna there. And then there was one up in the mountains that I thought, here, some guy in Big Bear, California. There we go. Has a hex beam, 100 watts. You know, what are all the things there? But these are ones that a younger ham could use as long as they have their ticket and they don't pay anything for it. So, okay, so while this was all taking a little nap, it actually did sign me in. So I'm inside the system now. So for my 99 bucks, I got this far, right? And what you see when you do that is over to the left are here where you got all the green circles. Those are all the stations. Green means it's available. So it's a quiet night out here. The little orange one means something's broken. So that one's not working and they're looking at it. It will tell you when you look at any one of these before you log on. You know, it's always going to have the information on here about where the station is located, the grid number, all kinds of that information. Because if you're operating remote, really when you're talking to someone, you're using your call sign, but you need to tell them you're in Maine or that's the station they're connecting to. So it's not, you know, where you're living in Grafton or whatever. What I like about this is, okay, so then it will also show me, in addition to just the station details, what time is it? Is the station available? What's the cost going to be if I connect? And this little map down here is kind of nice for the stations that are rotatable antennas. Once you sign in, you have the ability to point the antenna wherever you want to point it. And we'll get to that in just a minute. They also put some news down here. So like the reason I wanted to show one of these little news blurbs was they just added a EME capability to this. And there's a nice little small scale EME, you know, station. Yeah, no, it's not. No, I think there's other software you use with EME that's not built into this. So, and you guys that do that would know what you need for that. But that's the only application I'm aware of where you have to have something else to be able to operate it. If you're doing FT8, you don't need anything else. You can do it all from within here. But they'll mark that kind of stuff down. DX spots, the people that are using it will put some spots out here. So if you want to look at something, you can see, hey, I want to talk to this guy, or you can pick the frequency band, what mode, whatever you want. And then it's just going to bring up that information, whether you're looking for where the person is or local, you know, US locations. You can log on here, and I believe it has integration to Logbook of the World. I don't have that set up. I just logged a couple because I wanted to try it. So I did FT8 to Australia, and then this P4, PJ4G or whatever I think is an island in the Caribbean. So you can track that stuff here. There's a chat for it. They're red. So somebody just took that station W1 Chaplin, so I can't operate that right now. But I'll pick one of these ones and we'll give it a whirl here. So let's see, Summit. What does this one do? I want one that we can tune around. I think this one will do it. Yeah, it's a dipole. Skip that. Here, 40. 195 feet Yagi, that should be pretty good. So if I'm going to connect, and when you get a nice pan adapter, I'm going to turn the volume down a little here. And it probably is defaulting to wherever it was someone used it before. I'm going to change it because I want to go on lower sideband. And put on some noise reduction.
You, I got you. Well, enjoy driving that sucker around and having a good time.
So this is this net, the people talking. There's a net in New Orleans called the Rare Ones, and they're on 72, 75 every evening. And that's what we're hearing. Plus with somebody tuning up in the middle of it. And this is just a nice band adapter so you can see what's going on. If I don't like where the antenna is pointed and I want to get it pointed more towards New Orleans, I can click down here. And that's South America, so I know it's going to move it. And you'll actually see the... Can you hear me okay out of this? Okay. So the antenna is moving right now. That's what the red is showing.
Fireplaces. I know Frank has one over at the firehouse, and I know
it just takes a few minutes for it to cycle all the way around.
I don't know.
You can enter a compass heading. You know, there's a lot of different ways to point it wherever you want to point it. Yeah, they did a nice job with it.
Good evening, Captain Scott. And yeah, you guys have been getting some cooler weather. I mean, like it's the last couple.
So I really made it turn all the way around here. So. Oh, it's Pacific. I want South America.
Not cold enough for a fireplace yet. Actually, I have a rear house in Florida that has a fireplace, so I've actually used it just a couple of times. I know, you know, it's really, you know,
I have not technically gotten any immersion stations. It's just finishing turning. I wanted it to South America, so.
We never did actually put one in, but fireplace, surprisingly, of course, you know, we like y'all, you know, we don't get too cool weather. Occasionally, you know, it gets down into the upper 30s.
So I can move the antenna around. I think the only thing is you could probably get in trouble with here is if you went on this thing and just nothing but turn the antenna around all night. They might notice that. You know, and kick you off. You know, you have to stay within your band for your license. I don't think they automatically check that, but you know, if you're a general class, don't go any extra frequencies, right?
So if we get to use the fireplace, it's only a couple of times a year. It is pretty cool. It definitely does warm up that room there.
Yeah, so that's a nice setup for this, and it says so no one else can use this while I'm on it right now.
It's pretty cool to have it when it is.
I don't think I can sneak in on them tonight. They run NetLogger, so you have to kind of wait in line. Which at $1.25 a minute, I'm not sure I want to do. If I want to transmit, I'm going to bring the screen back down here. Here it says PTT. Right over here. If I'm just using the computer mic, I just got to click on this, and now I'm transmitting. So it's pretty straightforward. You can use a headset with a mic or whatever you want, and if you're doing CW, you just got to plug in or use one of the other front ends that has CW. You can do that. And so this is pretty much how it operates on any of the other frequencies. Some of them you can listen to or use low power, and it's a little cheaper than this one. This is the full deal, so we're running at $1.25 a minute here.
The rain is really good. It's giving us a lot of rejuvenation.
I think it sounds pretty good, and you can change it to whatever you want. If you're using headsets and you want the monitor on, you can turn that.
Had some good DX over the last few days, so that's working good.
What's that, Tom?
Playing with the Mercury a little more here. I actually had a nice conversation with a guy in Australia and Vancouver today on 10 meters.
That's not bad, right?
10 meters, I'm getting 20 watts in.
That's what I like. You know, there's some really powerful antennas. And, you know, it'll tell you what bands are available, right? And then you can choose on some of them what kind of power you're going to use. And it's pretty impressive stuff. I think it's a nice implementation of this. There are other companies that do this. There's one called Be Loud. I picked this one because of that article I read. I kind of like it. It's easy to figure out what you're doing. And they have YouTube tutorials for different features. So like if you want to learn how to use the FT8, or you want to learn how to use the EME, or just general tutorial on how to do it, they have YouTube videos that they created here. And I can go look at that and say, okay, that's how I do EME, or what else do I have to have, I'm going to disconnect from this so I can stop the meter running. And so now I'm logged into the system, but I'm not on a transmitter, so I'm not paying anything at the moment. But I could pick something like, here's Marconi station. What are the deals here? Like you can do it. I think here you've got 5 cents a minute, 9 cents a minute, so it's much smaller. And here's standby receive. So I could try and do it receive. If someone else comes along and wants to use it, they're going to take control of it from me. This is just 100 watts. So if I pick this one, and it's going to connect it. And like I said, it's going to be wherever it was. It looks like it was on digital or something because it's decoding. So I'm going to chance 17 meters FT8. I'm going to go back to 40 and change it to lower sideband. And I could go back and do this. Where are you? So I might be on a frequency that this doesn't support. I'm not sure. I don't hear anything. So I'm going to get out of it. But you see this kind of picture for any frequency that you're going at on any of these stations. Jonesport, some of these have a couple different ones because they got vastly different antennas. So like if you're trying to do 160 meters, it's got a different antenna than what you're using there. And if you want to look at it, I can get that out of the way if I don't need to see it. So I think it's really neat how they implemented it. And like I said, my understanding is like if you bought one of these front ends like Maestro or Electcraft or whatever, you could operate that and drive the console if you want something that's more like a radio than, clicking stuff with the mouse. It's got some more options for that. And all that stuff that, that, like I said, they have videos that kind of explain what it is and how it works. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of a feel for this technology. It's kind of neat, and I think the fact that they have a STEM kind of application where younger hams could use something on here without paying for anything might be a neat way for any of us to bring somebody else in and say, hey, if you get your license, here's a good way to start doing something right away, and you don't have to go buy, a couple $1,000 worth of radio and antenna, at least to start with, to get into the hobby. But I think it's and I think they did a nice job of it. And like I said, their videos and explanations are real nice and clear. And, if I could figure out how to do FT8 in like 5 minutes, it can't be that hard. I think the EME is a little more complicated, but they just set that one up. So I know that is starting to work. Questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Peter Chow, W01G.
That'd be good.
So what happens if is there a timeout basically if some operator falls asleep or something and somebody wants else to take over? Is there some type of time limit for this kind of stuff?
Not that I'm aware of. It's more likely your computer would shut off before they kick you out. I'm not aware there is anything that polices it in that fashion, but if you're going to try that, I'd make sure you're on a cheap station.
Well, I mean, if somebody kicks a bucket or something and then, that particular station's locked up.
Yeah. That you could have a problem there.
Okay.
Mono band, or can you change bands?
if they have, now here, let me bring this back out so you can see it here. Some of them, like here, this Lubeck, it's telling you, and I realize that your screen is like microscopic there. It's saying if I pick this one, I've got 10 meters, 15, 20, 40, and 60.
Okay, so
Yeah,
there-
some of them are multiple,
Yeah.
some are not,
okay.
but the number of them are, and then so you just decide what frequency you're going to be
Now, are
on.
you charged for the different stations that you might use?
Yeah, every station in this listing here has price schedules. If you're going to use transmit and even listen on some of them, the price varies a little bit depending on whether you say I'd like to run 100 watts, I'd like to run 500 watts, or I want legal limit. So the price will go up depending
So
on how much
it's not a
power.
membership, then it's based on time or something like that?
Well, so you pay $99 a year and then whatever airtime you use. Right. So, you know, granted, and I guess you can reserve, my understanding is you could, if you wanted to use it on a contesting weekend, they have something where you could like reserve it, but you got to reserve it for the whole time of the contest. So that could get a little pricey unless you really don't care, right? So, but otherwise, yeah, 99 bucks a year and then per minute, depending on the complexity of or power of the station that you're running.
So, Mike, this is Bill, W9MXQ. I think you answered this with Peter's question, maybe a little bit with Tom's, but so once you take control, you connect. So that transmit or that frequency or that station is yours until you disconnect.
That's right. The only time I can get booted off is if I'm on a station where it has a mode where you can just listen.
Okay.
And so
Yeah, I
maybe you're
caught that.
paying 10 cents a minute. If it's 90 cents a minute to transmit and someone wants to do that, that will kick me off. But otherwise, once you're on it, using it, then nobody can boot you off except in that kind of scenario.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice
Question.
presentation, by the way.
Question, Mike.
Yeah.
When you log into one of these stations remotely and you transmit, let's say using FT8, what call sign do you use? Obviously your own, but is it preceded by the region that the transmitter's in?
On the FT8 side, I haven't played with it enough to know what else other information it sends out on that. I know if I'm talking voice to somebody and I'm giving the information, I need to tell them that I'm in Maine and it's grid square or whatever information they need. I just use my regular call sign, but I have to say where the transmitter is located. I don't know on FT8 whether that automatically sends the information or what you would have to do that differently. Because like when I had that, let me go back over here. This is my log here. So I talked to this guy on FT8, but I don't know what there's a way for me to look at it here. Sure. I don't know what other information it sends with it. I haven't played with it enough. So that sort of partially answers your question, I think, Brett.
Maybe a second question too. I know Vic had trouble with his remote station trying to operate CW, given the latency of the internet. Have people commented about the ability of CW or the internet to keep up if you're using one of these remote stations?
I haven't seen anything about that being an issue. For me, though, not being a CW guy, I haven't had a chance to, evaluate that to see whether it's really a problem or not. Doesn't seem to be because I don't see a lot of commentary on here about people complaining about it. That's where it might be easier because I'm assuming you've got to have a paddle or something and a way to hook that up rather than trying to click on a mouse, so that might be a little more complicated in that case, but they probably have a tutorial on it to show you how to do it. Yes.
Mike, Jean Ann in 9VSB.
Mhm.
Do any of these stations support UHF, VHF, or is it strictly HF?
I think they have the 2 meter. One of these guys does here, EME. Let's see what's on this one. Yeah, there's one on the station. Yeah, I know I think they have 6 meter on here on one of these, yes. Yeah, I know it's hard to tell because of like this esports got 6 meter on it, 6 and 160. here's Lubeck has 6 meter on it. So some of them have 6 meter capability and I think 2 meter as well. And like I said, the EME part of it, which is, what's that?
I looked at that site several months ago,
Some of the stuff is brand new.
and there's not any like microwave or 432 or anything like that. Pretty
No,
much.
some of that, no. I mean, they're more
Eventually,
focused
maybe
on,
yes, but not now.
yeah. And the EME stuff is like brand new. I mean, that just came on stream recently. So, and I know you need some other software to make that work. I don't know if it's WJSTX or something.
WSJT package.
Yeah, to operate FT8 on here,
And
you don't,
all the other stuff that you're talking about is in the WSJT package is dozens.
Does
of
EME?
programs, not
Yeah.
just FTA.
right. You don't need
including
any,
EME.
you don't need any other software to operate FT8 in this implementation. For EME, yes, you need something else, whether it's that or whatever. But if you're doing FT8, you don't have to have anything else. The nice part is they protect you from yourself, so you can't overdrive anything. You can't break it. Like I said, the only thing I told you earlier, I think you get in trouble is if you just press the button and spin the rotor around for 2 hours. They might not like that, but you can't overdrive it. You can't be on the wrong frequency. You can't have it not tuned the right way. They've kind of all taken care of that. So
So Mike, go back to FT8. How are you actually doing that? Is the WSJT software at the host station or with you? It would have to be at the host station, right?
they have something embedded in this console because when I did that, I just had to go pick FT8 and watch for someone, type it in and do the stuff. It's pretty straightforward. You're not calling up any other software other than this console to do it.
Okay. What do you do with CW?
No idea since I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
I leave that to you guys to go look at maybe one of their videos or something and figure it out because
Okay.
if I got there and found it, I wouldn't know what I was doing anyway. So hopefully that helps. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right. Well, sorry about the little delay getting the network going, but I think it's a neat implementation. Like I said, I think there's STEM possibilities with the free kit part for the younger hams. So just a neat implementation of the technology. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate the time. Yep.